The sting of the slap was sharp, a firecracker of pain exploding across my cheek. I staggered back, clutching my face, my eyes wide with disbelief as I stared at the man before me. My husband, Mark. His eyes were bloodshot, his face contorted like a cornered animal. Just 3 hours ago, he had held me close, whispering, "I'll be home soon. Honey, I'll bring you that strawberry cheesecake you love." "I'm telling you, Sarah, I can't take another day of this." Mark's voice was a guttural roar, his finger jabbing so close to my face I could feel the spray of his spittle. Every single morning, I wake up, see your face, and it makes me sick to my stomach for the rest of the day. We're getting a divorce. We're going to the courthouse tomorrow. Across the living room, the large framed photo from our wedding day hung on the wall. Our smiling faces seemed to mock me, a snapshot of a lie. His mother, Carol, sat on the sofa, methodically peeling a tangerine, her eyes never leaving her task. His sister, Emily, was sprawled on the other end, scrolling through her phone, a smirk playing on her lips. "Mark, don't be so rough. Use your words," Carol finally said, her tone deceptively mild. Then, her gaze flickered towards me. "But Sarah, I have to be honest. You've been married for 3 years and there's still no sign of a baby. The Collins family needs an heir, you know." A chill snaked down my spine, my fingertips trembling. It wasn't that I couldn't get pregnant. It was Mark who said we couldn't afford a child yet, that we should wait. It was me who, at his request, had been secretly taking birth control. "Mom, don't waste your breath on her," Emily piped up, her eyes so eerily similar to mine gleaming with triumph. She had always been like this. Ever since we were kids, she had to have everything that was mine. From dolls to boyfriends. Now, she was coming for my marriage. Mark should have divorced her ages ago. Look at her, with her no-name family and no money. What's the point of keeping her around? I took a deep, shuddering breath, forcing the tears that burned my eyes to retreat. "Don't you dare cry, Sarah. Not in front of them." "Mark." My voice was so calm it startled even me. "Are you sure you want a divorce?" "Of course I'm sure." My composure seemed to enrage him further. "And let me tell you something, this house is a premarital asset. I bought it. You're not getting a dime. And your pathetic little salary? You've been living in my house, eating my food for 3 years. I should be charging you rent." His house? His food? The absurdity of it was staggering. The down payment on this house was $120,000. I had contributed $40,000 of it, every last cent of my mother's retirement savings. The $3,000 monthly mortgage? I paid $1,500 of it every single month. I did all the cooking, all the cleaning, and waited on his entire family hand and foot. "Fine," I nodded, turning towards the bedroom. "Where are you going?" "I'm not finished," he bellowed. I didn't look back. "To pack my things. Just like you wanted." The moment the bedroom door clicked shut, my back slid down against it, my body finally succumbing to the violent tremors. It wasn't sadness. It was pure, unadulterated rage. 3 days ago was my birthday. Mark claimed he had to work late and didn't even call. I went by myself to the 7-Eleven I always go to and bought a Powerball ticket using a combination of our family birthdays. It was a small ritual. Just a few bucks for a little bit of hope. The drawing was last night, but I'd been so busy at work today I hadn't even thought about it. Then, my coworker, Jessica, had shrieked, "Oh my God, someone in our city won the $400 million jackpot." The ticket was sold at the 7-Eleven right near our office. My heart had seized. A strange premonition washed over me. The first thing I did when I got home was check my purse. I always kept my lottery tickets tucked into a side pocket of my wallet. It was gone. I emptied the entire purse onto the bed. Nothing. I tore through drawers, the closet, the vanity. A frantic search led me to the kitchen trash can. At the very bottom, beneath coffee grounds and junk mail, I found it. A tiny, crumpled ball of paper. It was the receipt for my ticket. But the ticket itself was missing. Just then, Emily had walked out of the kitchen with a can of soda. She saw the receipt in my hand, and for a split second, her face paled before she composed herself into her usual arrogant sneer. "What are you doing? Digging through the trash? Are you that broke?" I hadn't said a word, just stared at her. Now, all the pieces clicked into place. Emily had stolen my ticket. The whole family knew they had won $400 million. That's why Mark was so desperate to divorce me, to kick me out before I could claim my share of their newfound fortune. Good. Very good. I wiped away the tears I hadn't realized were falling, stood up, and began to pack with cold, methodical calm. My clothes, my documents, my personal belongings, the bank statement showing my $40,000 wire transfer for the down payment, the records of my monthly mortgage payments, my detailed ledger of household expenses for the past 3 years. Thank God for my habit of keeping records. Finally, from the very bottom of my closet, I retrieved an old tin box. Inside was another lottery ticket, a Powerball ticket with the exact same numbers. My fingers, cold as ice, trembled as I held the thin slip of paper, but a fire was raging in my heart. 3 years. For 3 years I had given everything to this marriage, only to be rewarded with a slap and the words sickening. Mark, Carol, Emily. You think you can steal a piece of paper and steal my destiny? You have no idea what's coming. I carefully tucked the ticket into a hidden pocket in my bra and zipped up my suitcase. When I walked back into the living room, the 3 of them were laughing about something. The sound died the moment they saw me. "You're packed?" Mark glanced at my suitcase, his tone impatient. "Good. Get out. Be at the courthouse at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Don't be late." "Don't worry," I said, pulling the door open. I turned for one last look. Carol was back to peeling her tangerine. Emily shot me a contemptuous glare. Mark was already on his phone, probably researching how to claim his winnings. Their faces were alight with the undisguised joy of imminent wealth and disgust for me, the obstacle being removed. "Oh, by the way," I paused at the door, my voice soft. "I hope you get everything you deserve." The door closed behind me, shutting out the smiling wedding photo, shutting out the absurd theater of my 3-year marriage. The night air was cold. As I dragged my suitcase down the street, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Emily. "Sarah, take a piece of advice. Show up tomorrow, sign the papers, and don't make a scene. My brother can't stand the sight of you. Don't make it harder on yourself." I stared at the screen, then slowly typed my reply. "Don't worry. See you tomorrow." Then, I opened my contacts and dialed a number I hadn't called in 3 years. "Hello?" A crisp, professional voice answered on the 3rd ring. "Rebecca? It's Sarah. Sarah Collins. I need you to help me with a lawsuit." Rebecca Shaw's law firm occupied the 38th floor of the city's most prestigious downtown high-rise. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city glittered like a sea of diamonds. "Sarah, it's been a while." Rebecca slid a cup of hot tea across the polished table towards me. Her eyes fell on the still-fading red mark on my cheek, and her brow furrowed slightly. "What you said on the phone, can you tell me everything from the beginning?" I held the warm cup, letting the heat seep into my frozen skin. "It's simple. My husband wants a divorce. The reason is—" I tried to smile, but my lips wouldn't obey. "That the sight of me makes him sick." Rebecca's expression remained neutral. She was one of the best divorce attorneys in the city. My mother had secretly pressed her card into my hand before my wedding. "Just in case, honey, if he ever mistreats you, you call her. Don't you ever let yourself be a victim." How ironic it all seemed now. "And the assets?" Rebecca started a voice recorder and took out a notepad. "The house was his before the marriage, but I paid $40,000 of the down payment. I have the wire transfer record. We split the $3,000 monthly mortgage, and I have 3 years of bank statements to prove it. I also paid for almost all household expenses. Here's my ledger. I pushed the prepared documents across the table. Rebecca reviewed them quickly, nodding. This is excellent evidence. It will give you a strong position in the division of assets. Are there any other marital assets? Yes. I looked up, my voice steady. A winning Powerball ticket, worth $400 million. Rebecca's hand froze mid-page turn. Sarah? Are you certain? I'm certain. It was last night's drawing. The grand prize. I pulled up the news article on my phone and showed it to her. I bought the ticket. It was a combination of family birthdays. I bought it last Friday at the 7-Eleven near my office. But the ticket isn't in my possession anymore. Where is it? My sister-in-law Emily stole it. My voice was flat, as if I were discussing a stranger's misfortune. I came home today. Found it missing. And only the crumpled receipt was in the trash. Emily's reaction was suspicious. A few hours later, Mark suddenly demanded a divorce, was incredibly hostile, and told me to get out with nothing. Rebecca took off her glasses, pinching the bridge of her nose. The timing is highly suspect. But Sarah, legally, a lottery ticket is a bearer instrument. Whoever holds it has the presumption of ownership. If your sister-in-law has it and claims she bought it, it's going to be very difficult to prove otherwise. What if... I reached into the hidden pocket of my bra, took out the carefully folded ticket, and smoothed it out on the gleaming table. I have a ticket with the exact same winning numbers? Rebecca stared at the slip of paper, then shot her gaze back to me, her eyes as sharp as a scalpel. 2 tickets with the same numbers for the same drawing? It's theoretically impossible for the lottery system to print 2 identical quick picks or player-selected numbers for the same drawing from the same terminal, I said, pushing the ticket closer. So if 2 identical tickets surface, it means one of them is fraudulent. Or one of them was purchased at a very questionable time. Rebecca put her glasses back on, examining the ticket intently. She used her phone to scan the barcode. A result popped up on the screen. Powerball drawing number 2026027. Numbers 05 1219232 Powerball 16. Status winner. Prize Patrusute 0. It's real. She breathed, her voice tight. But the news said there was only 1 winning ticket sold for this jackpot. Exactly. I leaned back, feeling a clarity I hadn't felt in years. So, if 2 people show up to claim the prize with identical tickets for a single winner jackpot, what do you think happens? Rebecca was silent for a few seconds. When she spoke again, her voice held a new, professional excitement. The State Lottery Commission will launch an immediate investigation. They'll verify the sale time, location, and terminal ID for both tickets. Forging a lottery ticket is a serious felony. Attempting to claim a prize of this magnitude with a forged ticket could mean a decade or more in prison. And what if? I tapped the table lightly. One of the tickets was purchased after the winning numbers were announced. Then it's even simpler, she said, her eyes fixed on me. That's open and shut fraud. Sarah, I need to know. When did you buy this ticket in your possession? Outside, the city lights twinkled against the dark sky. I took a sip of my now lukewarm tea, 2 hours after last night's drawing. At a different convenience store. It was nearly 11 p.m. when I left Rebecca's office. I had nowhere to go. I couldn't go to my mom's. She has a heart condition, and the shock would be too much. I booked the cheapest room I could find at a hotel near the law firm. Lying in the unfamiliar bed, I stared at the ceiling. My phone lit up. It was a text from Mom. 9 a.m. tomorrow. Don't be late. Bring your ID, social security card, and the marriage certificate. I didn't reply. A moment later, another text. About that $40,000. I'll pay you back. Consider it payment for the housework you did. But don't even think about asking for a penny more. Let's just end this amicably. Amicably. I stared at the word and a bitter laugh escaped me. I remembered him on one knee 3 years ago, holding a ring. "Sarah," he'd said, "I'll love you and take care of you for the rest of my life." What a joke. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was a picture from Emily. It was a selfie of her, Mark, and Carol on the living room sofa. In front of them was a bottle of champagne, the expensive one I'd bought with my bonus last year and had been saving for a special occasion. Emily was making a peace sign, her smile radiant. The caption read, "Out with the old, in with the new. The future is bright." I zoomed in on Mark's face. He was smiling too, one arm around Emily, the other raising a glass. It was the carefree, triumphant smile of a man who had just shed a heavy burden and was about to ascend to the top of the world. There was no guilt, not a trace of remorse or nostalgia for our 3 years together. I put the phone down and closed my eyes. Mark, Emily, Carol, you must be so excited, planning how you'll spend that $400 million. Mansions, sports cars, world travel, calling all your friends and family to brag about your incredible luck. You really think that by kicking me, your inconvenient wife, to the curb, you can have it all? Sleep well. Enjoy your sweet dreams. Because tomorrow, it's time to wake up. The next morning at 8:50 a.m., I was standing in front of the county courthouse. Mark was already there, leaning against his used Honda, talking on the phone. He saw me, quickly ended his call, and gave me a once-over. I was wearing a simple beige trench coat, no makeup, with faint dark circles under my eyes. I hadn't slept well. A flicker of satisfaction crossed his face. He probably thought I'd been up all night, crying. "You got everything?" he asked coldly. "Yes." I held up the folder with my documents. "Good. Let's get this over with. I have things to do." He turned and walked inside without another word. The process was faster than I expected. A clerk asked a few perfunctory questions. Mark jumped in, citing irreconcilable differences. I nodded. In less than 10 minutes, our marriage certificate was replaced with divorce papers. Walking out into the bright sunlight, Mark shoved his copy of the decree into his jacket pocket as if it were a piece of trash. "The money will be in your account by the end of the day," he said, checking his watch. "I've got a 10 o'clock meeting. I have to go." "Mark," I called out. He turned, annoyed. "What now? That lottery ticket?" I said, walking slowly towards him, looking him straight in the eye. "The winning numbers are 051219232833, and the Powerball is 16. Right?" The color drained from Mark's face. It was a sudden, complete loss of control. His pupils contracted, his mouth opened, but no sound came out. How do you know that?" he finally hissed, his voice strained. "I guessed," I said with a small smile. "After all, I picked them. May 12th is my birthday. The 19th is my mom's. The 23rd is my dad's. And 28 and 33, those were the numbers you said represented us forever when you were trying to win me over. Remember?" Mark's face went from white to red and back again. His eyes darted around nervously. "You're talking nonsense. Emily bought that ticket. It has nothing to do with you," he growled, his voice low and menacing. "Sarah, I'm warning you. We're divorced. Don't try to pull anything. You won't get a single cent of that money." "I don't want a cent," I said calmly. "I just wanted to tell you. Sometimes, even when you steal something, it doesn't really belong to you." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means," I leaned in, my voice a whisper only he could hear, "be careful when you go to claim your prize. A lot of people are watching when it's $400 million. He stared at me, his eyes filled with a murderous rage. I held his gaze for a moment, then turned and walked away. After a few steps, I glanced back. He was still standing there, his face ashen, frantically dialing a number on his phone. I reached the curb just as Rebecca's black sedan pulled up. The window rolled down. "Everything is ready," she said. handing me a file folder. He was on the phone just now. They're probably in a hurry to cash it in. For a jackpot this size, you usually need an appointment. But they might have an inside connection to fast-track it. They could be at the State Lottery Commission this afternoon. I took the folder. Inside was a thick stack of documents, with a notarized copy of my ticket on top. "We're going too," I said. "Right now." "Right now?" I opened the car door and got in. "We can't miss the show." The car pulled into traffic. I took one last look at the courthouse. Mark was gone. He was probably rushing to share the good news with his precious sister and dear mother, before heading straight for their $400 million prize. "Mark, you thought you were throwing away a burden. You had no idea you were throwing away the winning ticket. And a thief who steals the jackpot is bound to pay the price." "Rebecca," I said, watching the city blur past. "When we get there, can I be the one to talk to them first?" She met my eyes in the rearview mirror and nodded. "Of course. You're the client." I leaned back and closed my eyes. My palms were sweating, but my heart was steady. A drama 3 days in the making was about to begin, and I wondered, "My dear ex-husband and his family, are you ready for the gift I'm about to give you?" The State Lottery Commission was housed in a modern glass and steel building in a newly developed part of the city. As Rebecca pulled into the parking lot, I immediately spotted Mark's Honda parked in a VIP spot right by the entrance. Their connection was clearly working for them. "They're inside," Rebecca said. "Parking the car. My contact at the claims center just texted. A family is in the VIP lounge processing a major winning ticket. They brought a whole entourage. 5 or 6 people." I unbuckled my seatbelt. "Let's go." "Sarah." Rebecca put a hand on my arm, her gaze serious. "Are you sure? Once we walk through that door, there's no turning back. If there's any flaw in our evidence, or if they've prepared better, forged a more convincing purchase history. For example, you could find yourself in a very vulnerable position. They could even countersue you for fraud. I've thought about nothing else for the past 3 days." I pushed the car door open. The afternoon sun was bright. The worst-case scenario is they get the $400 million. So what? It's money I never really had. But if they think they can steal from me, crush me, and walk away clean, then even if I go down, I'm taking a piece of them with me. Rebecca didn't argue. She grabbed her briefcase. "All right. I'm with you." The lobby of the commission was bright and busy. Security guards stood by the entrance to the claims area. Rebecca showed her bar card and our appointment confirmation, and we were waved through. The VIP lounge was at the end of a corridor on the 2nd floor. The door was slightly ajar, and the boisterous sounds of celebration spilled out. "I'm telling you, the first thing we do is buy a mansion in North Hills. The biggest one. And Mom, I want that pink Porsche I saw at the auto show. Get it all." "Mark, you need a new car too. That old Honda is an embarrassment." "Emily, keep your voice down." "So, Mr. Davison, how much longer will the paperwork take?" It was them. Mark, Carol, and Emily, along with a man who must be their connection. I stood at the door, took a deep breath, and knocked. The laughter inside stopped abruptly. A few seconds later, the door opened. It was Mark. His face was flushed with excitement, but the color drained away the instant he saw me, replaced by shock, then fury. "Sarah? What are you doing here?" He tried to push me out, hissing, "You don't belong here. Get out!" I stood my ground, my eyes looking past his shoulder into the room. It was a spacious lounge with leather sofas and a coffee table laden with snacks and drinks. Carol and Emily were in the center, and Emily was clutching a transparent folder. I could see the familiar blue corner of a Powerball ticket inside. A portly, middle-aged man in a suit with a claims director name tag stood beside them. Mr. Davison. 2 other people, who looked like relatives, were fawning over Carol. Now, all of them were staring at me. "Mark, who is this?" Mr. Davison asked, frowning. She's my ex-wife. We just got divorced today." I don't know why she's here. She must be crazy, Mark stammered, trying to slam the door. Ex-wife? Mr. Davison's eyes narrowed. Mr. Davison. Hello. I stepped forward, blocking the door, and pulled a file from my bag. I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm here because I am also in possession of a winning Powerball ticket for this drawing. The numbers are identical to the one Miss Emily Collins is holding. What? Carol shrieked, jumping to her feet. Emily's face went white as a sheet, and she instinctively tried to hide the folder behind her back. Mr. Davison's expression turned grim. What did you say? You have an identical winning ticket? Yes. I handed him my file. Here is my original ticket, a copy of my driver's license, and this is my attorney, Miss Rebecca Shaw. We are prepared to cooperate with any investigation. Rebecca stepped forward, handing him her card. Mr. Davison, I am Miss Sarah Collins's legal counsel. Regarding the authenticity and ownership of two identical winning tickets, we formally request that the Lottery Commission immediately launch an investigation and suspend the current claims process. This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Mark snatched the file from my hand and tried to rip it. Sarah, have you lost your mind? Forging a lottery ticket is a felony. Mr. Collins! Rebecca's voice was sharp as a whip. Your actions constitute the destruction of potential evidence. Mr. Davison, I urge you to intervene. Mr. Davison, his face a thundercloud, gestured to a staff member, who took the file from Mark and handed it to him. He opened it, pulled out my ticket, and scanned it with a handheld device from his desk. After a few moments, he looked up. First at me, then at Emily, his brow deeply furrowed. The numbers on both tickets are, in fact, identical. 051-219-232833. Powerball 16. The room fell deathly silent. Impossible! That's impossible! Emily shot up, her voice shrill. Hers has to be fake. Mine is the real one. I bought it last Friday at the store near my house. The owner can prove it. Miss Collins, please calm down, Mr. Davison said, holding up a hand. His attention was now fully on me. Miss Collins, you claim your ticket is also authentic. What proof do you have of its time and place of purchase? I bought my ticket last Friday at 6:40 p.m. at the Lucky Stop convenience store on 132nd and Main Street. I stated calmly. The store has security cameras, and the owner will remember me. I'm a regular, and I always play the same numbers. I also have the digital payment record on my phone and a photo of the ticket I sent to my mother on WhatsApp, time-stamped at 6:45 p.m. last Friday. I unlocked my phone and showed him the photo and the chat history. The ticket was clearly visible. The timestamp, undeniable. Emily's face was now completely devoid of color. You photoshopped it. That picture has to be fake. It's a simple matter for a forensic expert to verify if an image has been altered, Rebecca interjected smoothly. However, Miss Emily Collins, you claim you purchased your ticket last Friday. Can you provide the specific time? The store location? A payment record? Did you, by chance, take a photo for your records? Emily looked frantically at Mark. Mark cut in. She bought it Friday evening. Who remembers the exact time? She bought it near our house. Paid cash. What's wrong with that? Is there a law that says you have to use a credit card and take a picture? There is no such law, Rebecca said, her tone clinical. But when a $400 million prize is contested by two identical tickets, the party with the more complete and credible chain of evidence is more likely to prevail. My client, Miss Sarah Collins, has a verifiable time, location, digital payment record, and a pre-existing habit of documenting her purchase. Her claim to ownership is consistent, reasonable, and well-supported. Your sister, on the other hand, can offer nothing but a verbal claim, which is, under the circumstances, highly unusual. What's so unusual about it? Carol rushed at me, pointing a finger in my face. Sarah, you're just jealous. You're bitter about the divorce and you want a piece of our money. Well, you're not getting it. That ticket belongs to Emily. It has nothing to do with you. Get out of here or I'm calling the police. Call them. I met her furious gaze and suddenly smiled. Please, call the police. Let's have them investigate exactly where Emily Collins was between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. Last Friday night. Emily flinched, a barely perceptible tremor. She was at home, of course, Carol declared. At home? I took a slow step forward, my eyes locked on Emily's evasive ones. Last Friday night was her company's team-building event. It was at the Wanchao KTV karaoke bar on the west side of town. There are credit card receipts and a dozen colleagues who can testify to her presence. It takes at least 40 minutes without traffic to get from the west side to your neighborhood. The event started at 6 p.m. And as a new employee, she wouldn't have dared to leave before 9 p.m. So, can you please explain how she managed to travel across the city to buy a lottery ticket near your house in the early evening? You're lying! You investigated me! Emily shrieked. I just happened to have a friend who was also at Wanchao KTV that night and saw you, I said coolly. Should I call him? He can tell Mr. Davison all about how much you drank, what songs you sang, and what time the party ended. The blood drained from Emily's face. She stumbled backward, collapsing onto the sofa. Mark and Carol were frozen, clearly unaware of Emily's exact whereabouts that night. The atmosphere in the room was thick with tension. The two relatives were cowering in a corner. Mr. Davison's face was as dark as a storm cloud. He looked from the devastated Emily to my impassive face, and finally down at the two identical tickets in his hand. This, he began, his voice heavy, is a very serious matter. One prize, two claimants. This means we are dealing with a case of forgery and attempted fraud. This is a major financial crime. Mr. Davison. Mark panicked. Don't listen to her. Hers is the fake. It has to be. We don't determine truth by shouting, Mr. Collins, Mr. Davison said, picking up his desk phone. I will report this to my superiors immediately. At the same time, I am contacting the state police. Until this matter is fully investigated by law enforcement and our internal auditors, the claims process is suspended indefinitely. Both tickets will be held by the commission as evidence. No! Emily lunged forward, trying to snatch the tickets. That's mine! That's my money! A staff member quickly intercepted her. Miss Collins, please compose yourself. If you continue, I will have security escort you from the building, Mr. Davison commanded. Mark grabbed the hysterical Emily, pulling her back. He looked at me, the hatred in his eyes so palpable it felt like a physical force. He mouthed the words silently, his lips twisted in a snarl. Sarah, you will pay for this. I met his gaze and gave a slight, deliberate nod. I'm waiting. Rebecca touched my sleeve. Let's go, she whispered. This is an administrative and legal matter now. We just need to cooperate. As we turned to leave, and the door closed behind us, I heard the eruption of Carol's piercing wails and Emily's hysterical screams. The hallway was silent. Sunlight streamed through the windows, painfully bright. They'll get desperate, Rebecca said in a low voice. I know, I said, pressing the elevator button. That's why I need a good lawyer. The elevator doors opened. As we stepped inside, the mirrored walls reflected my face pale, but my eyes were calm and clear. Rebecca, forgery and attempted lottery fraud for a sum this large. What's the penalty? Under federal and state law, fraud involving a sum of this magnitude is a major felony, she said, her voice echoing slightly in the small space. $400 million is considered an exceptionally large amount. The fact that it involves defrauding a state lottery, an act of significant public trust, would be seen as an aggravating factor. The sentence would likely start at 10 years and could go much, much higher. The elevator descended. 10 years. Or more. Emily, my dear sister-in-law, how do you like your gift? The next 3 days were eerily quiet. The Collins family didn't contact me. Their social media went dark. The celebratory champagne photo was long gone. But I knew it was the calm before the storm. On the fourth day, Rebecca called. Her tone was grave. "Sarah, they've made their move." "What happened?" "Emily filed a police report yesterday. She's accusing you of burglary and extortion. Her story is that she bought the ticket last Friday evening at the convenience store by her house, put it in her bedroom drawer, and you broke in and stole it. She's provided evidence, a handwritten note from the store owner, and statements from 2 neighbor witnesses who claim they saw her at the store that evening." Rebecca's voice was tense. "The police have opened a case. They'll probably want to question you soon." I stood by the window of my hotel room, watching the endless river of traffic below. The store owner's note. The neighbor's statements. The owner's note says Emily is a regular customer and confirms she bought a Powerball ticket around 6:10 p.m. last Friday. The 2 neighbors gave sworn statements saying they saw her coming out of the store around that time. Rebecca paused. "And it gets worse. The police subpoenaed the security footage from that store for last Friday, between 6 and 7 p.m. The tape is blank. The owner claims the system was malfunctioning." "How convenient," I said with a humorless laugh. "The 1 hour that would prove my story has clear records, but the hour that would prove hers just happens to be on a broken camera." "Exactly. They're fabricating an entire chain of evidence. The owner and neighbors were almost certainly bribed, but the police work with the evidence they have. Right now, they have eyewitnesses and a purchase confirmation. Our evidence is strong, but she said with falsified testimony. It's not a slam dunk. If the police believe their story, you could be brought in for questioning, even detained on suspicion of burglary and extortion. It would seriously damage your claim to the ticket." "Rebecca." I turned from the window, looking at the legal files spread on the desk. "What if I told you I have more than just a payment record and a photo? What if I have irrefutable proof that Emily Collins could not have been at that convenience store at that time?" There was a 2-second pause on the line. "What kind of proof?" "At 6:10 p.m. last Friday, Emily wasn't in her neighborhood. She was checking into the Grand Hyatt Hotel on the south side of town with a man. She entered the hotel at 5:20 p.m. and didn't leave until 9:40 p.m. It's all on the hotel's security cameras, the lobby, the elevator, the hallways. And her ID was scanned at the front desk. This time, Rebecca was silent for much longer. "How do you have this? It's a sick joke, really." I walked to the desk and picked up a still image printed from a video file. The quality was grainy, but it clearly showed Emily's profile, and that of a balding, middle-aged man. Last Friday afternoon, I went to Mark's office to surprise him. I saw Emily getting into that man's car. I got a bad feeling, so I followed them. I followed them all the way to the hotel and recorded them on my phone. I was just going to keep it as leverage, in case I ever needed it. I never imagined I'd need it so soon. Emily, in her wildest dreams, could never have imagined that while she was busy with her lover, the lottery ticket she planned to steal was sitting safely in my wallet. And she certainly never imagined that her unbreakable alibi would be personally witnessed and recorded by me. Is the video clear? Can you see their faces and the hotel name? Rebecca's voice was now electric with professional excitement. Perfectly clear. The hotel logo, the timestamp, Emily's face, and the man's. I did some digging. He's a major client of her company, married, with kids. I paused. This video, combined with the hotel's official security footage and check-in records, will completely demolish her alibi of being at a convenience store at 6:10 p.m. And when one part of her story is proven to be a lie, the credibility of all her other evidence, the store owner, the neighbors, will collapse. "This is it. This is the kill shot," Rebecca said, her composure restored. "I'll contact the police immediately and submit this new evidence. I will also send a formal letter to the Lottery Commission informing them of the opposing party's evidence tampering and perjury, demanding they cease any proceedings based on her false claims. Sarah, what other cards are you holding? You need to tell me everything." "Just one more," I said. "Mark's cousin, The Mr. Davison at the Lottery Commission is the one who got them the VIP treatment. It's possible there was an improper exchange of money or favors. I can try to find out. Hold that one, Rebecca said quickly. That's our ace in the hole. For now, let's focus on completely discrediting Emily's timeline. Send me the video and all the information you have. I'll handle it. And be prepared. The police will likely call you in. Stay calm. Tell the truth. But only say you saw her enter the hotel. Don't mention the lottery or that you were following her. If they ask, you just happened to be in the area. I understand. After hanging up, I sent the video file and hotel details to Rebecca. I leaned back in my chair and let out a long, slow breath. Emily, you wanted to build a fortress of lies? I'm about to tear it down, brick by brick. The call from the police came faster than I expected. The next morning, I was sitting in an interview room at the local police precinct. 2 detectives, an older, seasoned one named Miller and a younger one named Chen, conducted the interview. It was standard procedure verifying my identity and my relationship with Mark and Emily. Miss Collins, Detective Miller began, his tone neutral, but his eyes sharp. Emily Collins has accused you of breaking into her home last Friday evening, stealing a lottery ticket she had purchased, and subsequently using it to extort her. How do you respond to these allegations? They are completely false, I said, sitting up straight. First, I did not steal anything. That ticket was purchased by me last Friday at 6:40 p.m. at the Lucky Stop on Main Street. I have a digital payment record and a time-stamped photo as proof. Second, I did not extort anyone. I was exercising my legal right to contest the claim of a lottery ticket that I believe was stolen from me, and I provided my proof of ownership to the proper authorities. Miss Collins, Emily Collins has provided a statement from the store owner and 2 witnesses corroborating her claim that she purchased the ticket at approximately 6:10 p.m. last Friday. How do you explain that? They are lying, I said, meeting his gaze directly. Because at 6:10 p.m. last Friday, Emily Collins was nowhere near that convenience store. She was at the Grand Hyatt Hotel with another man. My attorney has already submitted the video evidence and hotel records to the police department. Miller and Chen exchanged a glance. And how did you obtain this video? By chance, I said, sticking to the story Rebecca and I had rehearsed. Last Friday, I went to my then-husband's office to surprise him for my birthday. I saw my sister-in-law get into a car with a man I didn't recognize. I was curious, so I followed them and saw them check into the Grand Hyatt. I recorded it on my phone, intending to show Mark, to warn him about his sister's behavior. But we had a disagreement, and I never got the chance. A disagreement? You mean the divorce? Yes. In truth, Emily has always been hostile towards me. She felt I wasn't good enough for her brother. This jackpot. I believe their sudden rush to divorce me and attempt to claim the prize for themselves is related to that. The interview lasted over an hour. Their questions were detailed, but my answers were consistent and backed by the hard evidence Rebecca had submitted. They didn't press me too hard. As we concluded, Detective Miller closed his notebook. Miss Collins, we will thoroughly investigate the evidence you've provided. If it's confirmed that Emily Collins perjured herself regarding her whereabouts, then her entire testimony, including that of the store owner and the neighbors, will be re-evaluated. And you should be prepared. If the evidence ultimately proves the ticket is yours, Miss Collins's actions could constitute perjury, filing a false police report, and attempted fraud. The nature of this case would change significantly. I understand. I trust the law will deliver a just outcome. I stood up. Thank you, detectives. Walking out of the police station, the sunlight felt less harsh. Rebecca was waiting in her car. How did it go? She asked. I told them everything we discussed. They're going to verify the hotel evidence, I said, sinking into the passenger seat, feeling a wave of exhaustion. Don't worry. I've already been in contact with the hotel's legal department. They will cooperate fully with the police. Emily's lies won't hold up. Rebecca started the car. The pressure is all on them now. As if on cue, my phone began to vibrate violently. It was Mark. I answered and put it on speaker. Sarah, you bitch! You dare to have Emily followed? Do you have any shame? Mark's roar was so loud it was distorted. In the background, I could hear Carol's shrill sobbing and Emily's muffled cries. Mark, watch your language. This is a police matter now. All that matters is the evidence, I said calmly. Evidence? What fucking evidence? It's all trash you cooked up because you're jealous. You're trying to frame her, he screamed, his voice cracking. I'm telling you, it won't work. The ticket is hers. You're the one who's going to jail. Jail? A small, cold laugh escaped me. Mark, let's think. Fabricating evidence, perjury, filing a false police report. Which of those crimes carries a heavier sentence? You should look it up. Oh, and by the way, that cousin of yours, Mr. Davison, who helped your sister get VIP treatment at the Lottery Commission. If it's discovered he abused his position, what do you think that's called? Malfeasance? Corruption? The other end of the line went dead silent. All I could hear was heavy, ragged breathing and Emily's choked, terrified sobs. What do you want? Mark's voice, when it finally came, was a hoarse whisper, stripped of all its bravado. I don't want anything, I said, watching the world fly by outside my window. I'm just taking back what's mine. Mark, I'm giving you 3 days. Go to the police, withdraw the false report, and issue a public statement admitting the ticket is mine. Otherwise, I will not only submit evidence of your cousin's misconduct, but that video of Emily at the hotel. I'll make sure the right people see it. Sarah, you wouldn't dare. Watch me. I hung up. The car was quiet. Rebecca glanced at me in the rearview mirror. Are you sure you want to push them this hard? A cornered animal can be dangerous. They're already dangerous, I said, putting my phone away. I'm just building the walls of the corner higher. Besides, Rebecca, do you really think if we back down now, they'll just leave me alone? Rebecca was silent for a moment, then shook her head. Exactly. It's either them or me, and I'm done letting it be me. I closed my eyes. The final act was about to begin. I knew them. Threats, blackmail, and public tantrums were their last resort. And this time, I was ready. They came sooner than I expected. The next morning, I was jolted awake by a frantic, violent pounding on my hotel room door. It wasn't the polite knock of housekeeping. It was a furious, percussive assault, punctuated by Carol's signature wail. Sarah! Get out here, you venomous, black-hearted witch. Come out and face me. I looked through the peephole. It was all 3 of them. Mark, his face a grim mask of fury. Carol, hammering on the door and crying hysterically. And Emily, her eyes red and swollen, biting her lip as if she were the victim of some great injustice. Other guests were already peeking out of their doors. I took a deep breath, didn't open the door, and instead turned on the voice recorder on my phone. Then, I unlatched the chain and opened the door a crack. Sarah! Mark tried to shove his way in. I braced myself against the door, holding it firm. What do you want? How dare you show your face? Carol shrieked, her spittle flying. You steal my daughter's lottery ticket, and then you frame her with these disgusting lies. You go to the police right now and tell them you made it all up, or I swear, I will make your life a living hell. Mom, calm down. Let's just talk. Emily whimpered, pulling at her mother's arm while casting a tearful, pleading look at me. Sarah, I know you're angry at me and Mark, but you can't resort to such dirty tricks. That ticket really is mine. How could you follow me and take that video? Her voice broke, and fresh tears streamed down her face. A masterful performance. Dirty tricks? I repeated, my gaze shifting to Mark. So, you also think that me trying to reclaim my own property is a dirty trick? Mark's eyes darted away for a second before hardening again. Sarah, cut the crap. The hotel. Even if Emily made a mistake. That's her private life. It has nothing to do with the lottery ticket. You delete that video, you go to the police and drop this whole thing, and I'll give you, not 20,000, I'll give you $50,000 as compensation. Then we're even. $50,000. In the face of $400 million. The offer was so insulting I almost laughed out loud. Mark, do you really think I need your $50,000? I stared at the man I had shared a bed with for 3 years, his eyes now filled with nothing but greed, fear, and a rabid desperation. Or do you think $400 million is only worth 50 grand to me? Don't you push me, Sarah! Carol screamed, her voice cracking. You think you're getting $400 million? In your dreams. That money belongs to Emily, to our family. You're an outsider, a nobody we kicked to the curb. I'm telling you, if you don't delete that video today, I will die right here, on your doorstep. I'll let everyone see what a monster you are. With that, she threw herself onto the floor, slapping her thighs and wailing at the top of her lungs. Help! My daughter-in-law stole my family's fortune and now she's trying to kill me. Somebody help! The sound echoed down the hallway. More doors opened. People were pulling out their phones, recording. Emily was covering her face, her shoulders shaking with sobs. Mark stood over them, glaring at me with an expression that said he wanted to tear me apart with his bare hands. It was their classic move. For 3 years, every time they wanted something from me, this was the playbook. Carol's histrionics, Emily's victim act, Mark's cocktail of threats and hollow promises, and I, for the sake of a peaceful home, had always been the one to back down. I had retreated so far that they thought they could just take my life, my future, and I would let them. My hand on the door tightened. The fire in my soul burned hotter. Carol, I said, my voice quiet but cutting through her wails. If you want to die, the stairwell is to your right. The roof is 20 floors up. It will be much quicker and you won't make such a mess in the hallway. Her crying stopped mid-wail. She stared at me, her mouth agape, as if seeing me for the first time. And you, Emily. My eyes found the sniveling actress. You say your affair is your private life? You, sleeping with a married man with a family? Should I send the video to his wife and let her decide if it's a private matter? Emily's crying ceased instantly. Her face went deathly white. Sarah, you dare, Mark roared. Watch me. I held up my phone. The video is right here, and backed up to the cloud. You want to make a scene? I'll play along. Let's see who ends up ruined. Let's see who ends up in prison. The hallway was suddenly silent. Carol sat on the floor, stunned. Emily was trembling. Mark's chest heaved, his eyes promising murder. Sarah, he finally said, his voice raspy with a last desperate threat. Don't take this too far. Even if the lottery ticket is a mess, you'll gain nothing by dragging my cousin into this. Mr. Davison has been at the commission for 15 years. He has connections. You're a nobody. Do you really think you can win against us? Be smart. Take the 50,000 and walk away. Otherwise, I will make it impossible for you to live in this city. Make it impossible for me? I let out a soft laugh. Mark, besides throwing tantrums and making empty threats, what can you actually do? Your cousin. Yes, he has a little power. Enough to bend the rules for you. How much did you pay him? 5,000? 10? Was it enough to be worth his career? Enough to be worth a prison sentence? Mark's face collapsed. He knew I'd guessed right. And another thing, I stepped forward, lowering my voice so only they could hear. Don't forget how you got your job at the utility company, the strings that were pulled, the gifts that were given. Do you need me to remind you? And all those kickbacks you've been taking from vendors, the padded expense reports? You think no one knows? Mark stumbled back, hitting the wall. His face was a ghastly white, a sheen of cold sweat on his forehead. The look in his eyes was, for the first time, one of true, primal fear. The fear of a man whose darkest secrets have been laid bare. I don't know what you're talking about, he stammered, his voice trembling. Oh, I think you do. I pulled my gaze away from him and looked at the stunned Carol and the ashen-faced Emily. Now, Take your $50,000 and your disgusting tactics and get out of my sight. If you ever bother me again, I promise you, you will lose a lot more than just $400 million. Without another glance, I stepped back and shut the door. The heavy wood slammed shut, cutting off the silence, the terror, and the twisted, defeated faces of the family that had tried to destroy me. I leaned against the door, my body shaking, my palms slick with sweat. That confrontation had taken every ounce of strength I had. My phone was still in my hand, the red light of the recorder glowing. Every word: Carol's abuse, Emily's lies, Mark's threats, and his final, terrified reaction was captured. I stopped the recording, saved the file, and sent a copy to Rebecca. Then, I called her. They just left, I said, my voice hoarse. I recorded everything. Mark practically admitted to bribing his cousin and to his own fraud at work. It might be useful. There was a pause as Rebecca listened to a part of the audio file. This is more than useful, Sarah. It's a confession. This is incredibly valuable. You did great, but please, be careful. They're desperate now. They might do something crazy. I know, I said, looking up at the ceiling. Rebecca, let's call the police. File a report for harassment and attempted blackmail. And let's take the part of the recording about Mr. Davison and send it as an anonymous tip to the Lottery Commission's Ethics Board. You're forcing a final showdown. No, I stood up and walked to the window. The sun was bright. I'm making sure they don't even have a table to sit at for a showdown. On the other end of the line, Rebecca took a sharp breath. I understand. I'll get on it right away. Stay safe. I hung up and stared out at the city below. Mark, Carol, Emily, you thought that $400 million was a ladder to heaven. You never realized it was the torch that would burn all your bridges, all your escape routes, to the ground, and I was the one holding it. The show was just getting started. Things began to unravel for them with breathtaking speed. That same afternoon, the local police visited my hotel to take my official statement about the morning's harassment. I gave them the audio recording. They brought the Collins family in for questioning, and after a severe warning, made them sign a restraining order, legally barring them from contacting me again. That was just the beginning. The real blow landed the next day. Rebecca called me at 10 a.m., her voice buzzing with energy. We got a hit from the Lottery Commission. Your anonymous tip worked like a charm. The State Ethics Board has launched a full investigation. Mr. Davison has been suspended, pending the outcome. So fast? A $400 million prize dispute is already a PR nightmare for them. Add in a director accused of corruption, and they move with lightning speed to contain the damage, Rebecca explained. And there's more. The police brought Emily in for questioning again. Faced with the hotel video, her alibi crumbled. She's been officially charged with perjury and filing a false police report. The store owner and the two neighbors have also been taken into custody. They'll crack. She's been charged? A knot in my chest that I didn't even know was there finally loosened. She's out on bail. But the case has been handed to the district attorney. Once the bribery is confirmed, she's facing serious jail time, Rebecca said. Oh, and it seems your ex-husband is in hot water too. I heard through the grapevine that the Internal Affairs Division of his company showed up this morning. They received a detailed anonymous tip about his hiring irregularities and some financial discrepancies. He's been suspended and is under investigation. The anonymous tip, of course, was from me, via Rebecca. I knew Mark had gotten his job through a shady deal and had been skimming off the top for years. I had seen invoices and taken photos, just in case. I hadn't wanted to use them, thinking it was too cruel. How naive I had been, Sarah. Rebecca's tone grew serious. The tide has completely turned, but you need to be ready. Before she could finish, my phone rang. A number I didn't recognize. It's him, I told Rebecca, then switched calls. Sarah. It was Mark's voice, but it was a horrifying, broken rasp. It was you, wasn't it? The tip to my company. You're trying to destroy me. Mark. You reap what you sow, I said, watching the gray clouds gather outside. You made your bed. Don't blame me. Sarah. Please. I'm begging you. His voice broke into a sob. The raw, pathetic sound of a man who has lost everything. For the sake of the 3 years we were married, just let this go. I can't lose my job. If I go to prison, what will happen to my mom? To Emily? 3 years? The man who threatened to ruin me yesterday, the man who called me sickening and threw me out with nothing, was now begging for mercy. The path you're on is the one you chose, Mark. My voice was ice. The moment you decided to steal that ticket, the moment you chose money over me, you set this all in motion. I was wrong. I know I was wrong, he cried, real tears this time. I was greedy. I wasn't thinking. Please, forgive me. The ticket, it's all yours. We'll drop everything. I'll go to the police. I'll tell them everything. Just please, call off the investigation at my job. I can't go to prison, Sarah. My life will be over. The ticket was always mine, I corrected him. As for your job, that's up to the law, not me. Sarah, can't you find it in your heart to show a little mercy? For old time's sake? I laughed, a sound devoid of warmth. Mercy, Mark? What mercy did you show me? The mercy of stealing my down payment? The mercy of treating me like your maid? The mercy of trying to throw me away like trash for a jackpot? I can't afford that kind of mercy. There was only desperate, ragged breathing on the other end. By the way, I added, as if an afterthought, did you know Emily has been formally charged? Perjury. Filing a false report. That's serious time. It looks like your whole family might be having a reunion behind bars. Leave Emily out of this! He shrieked, his voice frantic. She's young. She didn't know what she was doing. It was all my idea. Young and foolish? I repeated the words, the irony thick as poison. She didn't seem foolish when she was stealing my ticket, or when she was lying to the police with a straight face. Mark, everyone has to pay for their actions. You, your mother, and your sister. What do you want? Tell me what you want. Money? Name your price. I'll give you anything. He was completely unraveling. Money? I shook my head, though he couldn't see. Mark, even now, you think this is about money. What I want is justice. What I want is for you to give me back the 3 years of my life I wasted, the dignity you stomped on. I want you to understand that there are lines you don't cross, and people you don't screw with. I heard a loud crash on the other end, as if the phone had been slammed against a wall, followed by an animalistic howl of despair and the sound of breaking glass, all mixed with Carol's terrified screams. I hung up. Outside, the rain began to fall, fat drops splattering against the window pane. My phone rang again and again. Emily. I blocked her number. Then Carol. From a different number. Crying, screaming, begging. I blocked that one too, finally. There was silence, broken only by the sound of the storm washing over the city. Their world was collapsing, and my anonymous tips were just the final push. A text message lit up my screen. It was from Rebecca. Update. Lottery Commission just announced Mr. Davison has been fired and his case referred to the DA. The store owner and neighbors confessed. They were paid $20,000 by Emily. DA is adding bribery of witnesses to her charges. Because she is pregnant, she was granted bail, but the case is strong. Your ex-husband's company is proceeding with a full financial audit. Looks like he's in deep. Also, their house just went on the market. They listed it way below value. Looks like they need cash fast. I read each line, then typed my reply. Let's formally file the civil suit for ownership of the ticket. And let's file a criminal complaint against Emily for the theft of the ticket itself. Rebecca replied almost instantly. Are you sure? That will add significantly to her sentence. No room for mercy? I looked out at the pouring rain and typed one final message. They didn't leave me any room for mercy when they stole my ticket and threw me out. The rain fell harder, a gray sheet obscuring the world. Could it wash away their greed, their lies, their ugliness? Probably not. But the law could. It took only 3 days for their house to sell. They took a loss of over $100,000, desperate for cash to hire lawyers. But the story of the $400 million ticket fraud had already started to leak. No reputable lawyer would touch their case, especially Emily's, which was a mountain of irrefutable evidence. Defeated, Mark reached out one last time. We met in Rebecca's conference room, a neutral, sterile space with cameras and recorders. He looked 10 years older. Unshaven, hollow-eyed, his suit rumpled. The arrogant man who found me sickening was gone, replaced by a cornered, desperate creature. "Sarah," he started, his hands wringing in his lap, unable to meet my eyes. "About what?" I asked, my voice cool. I know we were wrong. Emily, she was just foolish. She'd never seen that much money. She got greedy. For the sake of her being your sister-in-law for 3 years, can you let her go? Can you drop the theft charge? Foolish?" I set my teacup down with a sharp click. Foolish people steal? Foolish people fabricate evidence and lie to the police to send an innocent person to jail? That's quite a definition of foolish, Mark. His face paled. She knows she was wrong now. She's terrified. Sarah, she's pregnant. If she goes to prison, what happens to the baby? It's an innocent life. Pregnant. I glanced at Rebecca, who gave a slight nod. The police report had confirmed it. That was why they were so desperate. "Who's the father?" I asked. Mark flinched. It's the client's. Mr. Zhao. He's promised to take care of things. As long as she stays out of trouble, take care of things." The married man who was nowhere to be found now that his mistress was in a world of trouble. Emily had truly played herself. Her being pregnant is her business. The law doesn't pardon criminals because they're pregnant. She should have thought about her baby before she decided to commit multiple felonies. "Sarah!" Mark's head shot up, his eyes red. "What will it take for you to stop? The house is sold. We'll give you all the money. The down payment, with interest. 50,000? 100,000. Just make a deal. If she goes to prison, her life is ruined. My mother is already sick with worry. Money." I looked at him. This pathetic shell of a man trying to buy his way out of a problem he created. "When you were planning to keep the $400 million, did you ever think of offering me a dime? Don't talk to me about money." "Then what do you want?" he yelled, a vein throbbing in his neck. The room was silent. I let the question hang in the air. "I want a public apology," I said finally, my voice low and steady. "I want you, your mother, and your sister to post a formal, written apology in your family group chat to every relative you have. I want you to admit you stole my ticket, that you lied, that you tried to frame me." His face turned purple. A public apology was social suicide for a family that cared so much about appearances. "No. Absolutely not," he choked out. "The humiliation. My mother, Emily. How could they face anyone? Humiliation?" I leaned forward. "Were you worried about humiliation when you were calling me disgusting and throwing me out? Were you worried about it when your family conspired to put me in jail? You only care about shame now that you've been caught." He was speechless, his chest heaving. "In addition to the apology," I continued, leaning back, "Emily must go to the police and give a full, truthful confession of everything she did. She will sign a plea agreement. How the judge sentences her is up to the court. I won't interfere, but her cooperation will be noted." "That's the same as sending her to prison." "The difference," Rebecca interjected, her voice cold as steel, "is that a full confession and a guilty plea often lead to a more lenient sentence. If she continues to fight and is convicted on the overwhelming evidence we have, the judge will show no mercy. Mr. Collins, it is your sister who is facing felony charges. My client's conditions for even considering a victim impact statement in her favor are more than reasonable. You can, of course, Refuse. We'll see you in court. But I must advise you, the probability of a lengthy prison sentence for your sister is extremely high. And given your own legal troubles, you are in no position to be making demands. The fight went out of him. He slumped in his chair, covering his face with his hands, his shoulders shaking with silent, racking sobs. The proud, arrogant man was gone, leaving only a broken, weeping mess. After a long moment, he looked up, his eyes bloodshot. The apology. Can we just do it in the family group? Not in the newspaper? Fine, I said. A handwritten apology, signed by all three of you, photographed and sent to the family group chat. And Emily confesses to the police by tomorrow afternoon. As for you, your problems at work are your own to solve. He nodded numbly. One more thing, I added, my $40,000 down payment. I want $100,000 back within 3 days. For damages and emotional distress. It's what you owe me, not a gift. He nodded again. And finally, I stood up, looking down at him. From this day forward, you will never contact me or come near me again. We are finished. I turned to leave. Sarah, he called out, his voice a ragged whisper. Don't you have any feelings left for what we had? I paused at the door, but did not turn back. Feelings? You personally burned every last shred of feeling to ash the day you chose $400 million over your wife. There's nothing left between us, Mark. Only a debt. And now, the debt is paid. I walked out, closing the door on the wreckage of my marriage and the wreckage of the man I once loved. The next afternoon, Rebecca received the photo of the handwritten apology, signed by all three of them, posted in the Collins family group chat. A few hours later, Emily, accompanied by Mark, turned herself in and gave a full confession. The $100,000 was wired to my account the following day. The legal proceedings moved quickly after that. With their confession, the Lottery Commission officially declared me the sole winner of the $400 million jackpot. After federal and state taxes, the final amount was $320 million. The day I went to finalize the claim was quiet. Rebecca and I were escorted to a private room. The paperwork was signed, the bank transfers initiated. As we were leaving, I passed another small waiting room. Through the crack in the door, I heard Carol's wailing. It's all your fault, you greedy girl. Now the money is gone and you're a criminal. My grandchild will have a convict for a mother. Mom, stop it! Mark's weary voice pleaded. What's the point of saying this now? The point is our lives are ruined. The house, the money, your job, it's all because of her. And that venomous snake, Sarah. I hope she rots. I kept walking. I didn't look back. Their world of blame and bitterness was no longer my concern. I was walking toward a different room, where private bankers were waiting to discuss my portfolio, where my new life was waiting to begin. The door to their misery closed behind me, and the door to my future opened. The $320 million arrived in my new bank account with a quiet notification on my phone. There was no wild celebration. I sat in my hotel room, looking out at the city, and felt a profound sense of peace. The heavy chains of the past 3 years had finally dissolved. Emily was sentenced to 3 years of probation, given her pregnancy and full cooperation. She would carry a felony record for the rest of her life. The baby's father paid her a sum of money to disappear and never contact him again. Mark was fired from his job and blacklisted in his industry. He took his ailing mother and broken sister and moved to a small town in another state. Their dreams of glory reduced to dust. I never heard from them again. My first act as a wealthy woman was to buy my mother a beautiful, accessible condo in her hometown and set up a trust to ensure she would be cared for the rest of her life. She held me and cried. Not for the money, but for my freedom. I'm so glad you're free, honey, she whispered. So glad. We spent 2 months by a lake in Northern California, healing. For the first time in years, I felt the sun on my face without a shadow of anxiety in my heart. When we returned, I got to work. I set up my finances with a team of advisors, ensuring my family would be secure forever. I made a few small, anonymous investments in tech startups and art projects that I believed in, and with a significant portion of the money, I established a foundation. We called it the Lighthouse Fund, dedicated to providing legal aid, emergency housing, and counseling for women trying to escape abusive and financially controlling relationships. One crisp autumn afternoon, I drove past my old neighborhood. The house had new owners. Flowers bloomed where our barren lawn used to be. I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness. Just the quiet detachment of looking at a place that no longer had any connection to me. As I was leaving, a former neighbor saw me. "Sarah! Oh my goodness! We all heard! Good for you! You have no idea the drama after you left." She started to gossip, but I just smiled. "I'm doing very well, thank you," I said, cutting her off politely. "I have to run. You take care." I got in my car, a modest but safe SUV I'd bought myself, and drove away. Later that day, I went to a quiet memorial park, not to visit a grave, but to bury a box. Inside was my old wedding dress and a few mementos from my former life. I had a small, simple plaque made. It read, "In memory of a past life, you are now free." As I stood up to leave, the wind rustled through the trees, and golden leaves danced around my feet. My phone rang. It was the director of my foundation. "Miss Collins, I have wonderful news. That domestic violence case we took on? We got her the restraining order, and we found the assets her husband was hiding. She's safe, and she's getting her fair share." "Thank you. You saved her life." I looked up at the vast open sky. "Tell her she saved her own life," I said. "Tell her to start living it." I hung up and started the car, pulling out into the evening traffic. The city lights were just beginning to sparkle, a river of diamonds stretching out before me. My new life, a life of purpose, of peace, of my own making, was just beginning. The road ahead was clear. And for the first time in a very long time, I was the one behind the wheel.